Hey everyone, and welcome to an episode of Mrs. Ross Does Math. Today's lesson is for Math 7. This happens to be your final math assignment of the school year. And our topic is Lesson 16. We are working on solving percents using proportions. Here we go. So our topic once again is Lesson 16, solving percents using proportions. You'll find through these notes that instead of having to write the word percent a lot, I'm just going to be using our mathematical symbol for percent. This is a great way for us to shorthand our notes. Now your notes on this aren't very long. I have more of a how-to for you. So let's get this going. Our essential question is, how can I use proportions to find a missing number or a percent? So that's going to be the focus of our assignment here. Now, I have a couple of steps to success for you in solving these. The first one is that we are going to write the problem as a ratio. Okay, so here we're going to have one ratio equaling another ratio. Our first ratio is going to be the percent that we have over 100. Sorry, that was my dog in the background if you heard her. Our third step is we're going to put the is number over the of number. So we're going to end up creating a proportion using the percent over 100 and the is and the of. And then ultimately our task is to solve the proportion. So what this is going to look like is we are going to have is over of is equals to percent over 100. Now I have a little insert. It was a little difficult to send this insert home, so I'm doing the best that we can with this. But your insert looks like this. It says is over of equals percent over 100. And I have a little equals sign right here, separating them in this way. No matter what way they happen to line up, we have is over of equals percent over 100. Now we have three example problems that we're going to practice here using this method. So here we go. Our first problem states, what is 65% of 40? Now when we're solving these, it's going to be really helpful if we write is equals of equals and percent equals. So this way we're able to identify all of the key components that we need to our problem. So it says, what is 65%? Because it says what is, we don't know what that is, so therefore that is an X, that is an unknown. Our percent is 65. So I'm going to write that down here. And then we have of 40. So that of and the 40 are connected together. So I'm going to put the 40 in place of the of. What this now means is that I'm going to put is over of. So since my is X, I'm going to go X over 40. And I'm going to set that equals to my percent, which is 65 over 100. So I'm going to have X over 40 equals 65 over 100. I'm now going to cross multiply. So here, I'm going to get 100 times X is equals to 40 times 65. Now, 40 times 65 is 2,600 or 2,600. So I get 2,600 equals 100x, or 100x equals 2,600. I'm now going to divide by 100 on both sides. Now a shorthand way of doing this is because they have zeros over each other, we can cancel out those zeros, which would leave us with 26. So x is equals to 26. In other words, 26 is 65% of 40. There we go. All right, now our next problem here is a little bit more difficult. it says, what percent of 80 is 72? So once again, I'm going to begin by identifying all of my components. So I'm going to have my is, my of, and my percent. So here it says, what percent? We don't know what our percent is, so I'm going to put an X in the percent. Of 80. That means my of is 80 and is 72. So I'm going to put the 72 in the is spot. Now I'm going to set this up again. So once again, we have is over of. So I'm going to have 72 over 80 equals percentage over 100. In this case, our percent is X. So it's going to be X over 100. I'm now going to cross multiply. So I'm going to have 80 times X is equals to 72 times 100. Now 72 times 100 happens to be 7,200, and that's going to equal to 80X. I'm going to divide each one of these by 80, giving me X is equals to 90. Now on here, because our X was a percentage, I need to add that percent to my final answer. So my X is not 70%, 90%. All right. Now our last problem for today is this one. 14 is 56% of what number? So, taking a look at this, once again, we are going to identify all three key pieces. So our is, our of, and our percent. That's really going to help you when you're setting these up, making sure that we've got everything in the right spot. So 14 is, so I'm going to put 14 in the is spot. 56%, my percent of 56 goes right there. And then of what number? That's going to be an X because we don't know what that number is. Next, let's set this up. So now I'm going to have 14, which is my is, over my of, which is X. And that's going to be equals to my 56, which is my percent, over 100. Because once again, we want our is over the of equals to the percent over 100. So I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to have 14 times 100 is equals to X times 56. 14 times 100 is 1,400, or 1,400, and X times 56 is 56X. Now I need to get my X by itself, so I'm going to divide each side by 56. And when we do that, we're going to get X is equals to 25. So 14 is 56% of 25. That's our final answer. All right, so if you have the opportunity to, please go ahead and tape this into your notes. Remember, you don't need to send your notes back to me. They are there for you to keep. As much as I love seeing your notes, I'm just going to send them back to you to make sure that you have access to them, especially when we come back to school in the fall. We're going to be doing some catch-up because of everything that's been going on, so you're really going to want to make sure that you keep those notes available. All right. Now moving on, we are going to go into our assignment. Your assignment is this. Lesson 16, solving percents using proportions. Please, please, please make sure that you put your name at the top on both pages. There are 2 pages here. So I'm going to put my name. I'm going to put the class period. This is period 2, and today's date is 5/26/2020. And I'm going to do that on both pages. All right, so here we go. Now, our first section says, identify the percent of unit squares that are shaded. If necessary, use a proportion to find the percent. So once again, we're going to use the is and the of equals our percent over 100. Another way of thinking this is that my is will be the number of squares that are filled in. My of is the number of total squares. So in this case, for number 1, it's going to be easiest for us to figure out how many squares we have vertically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and how many squares we have horizontally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now that means in all of this, I have 100 squares. So I know pretty easily that I'm going to be able to find a percent. If I know that one line filled in is 20, another line filled in would be 40, and then I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extras. So here, my percent, without needing to use the formula, would be 46%. Using the formula on number 3 and 4 would also be helpful. So for numbers 3 and 4, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 horizontal, or 5 vertically, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 horizontally, which means I have 50 pieces here. Now, of those 50 pieces, 10, 20, 30, 33 of them are filled in. So my 33 filled is going to be my is, my 50 pieces is my of, and now our task is to find the percent. So I'm going to go 33 over 50 is equals to x over 100. Now this is going to leave me with 50x equals 3,300. I'm going to divide by 50 on both sides, and when I do that, I'm going to get 66. So x is equals to 66, and once again, this was a percent that we were finding, so we're going to write 66%. All right, now moving on, for numbers 5 through 17, you are still once again going to be using the is over of equals percent over 100. So it's going to be really helpful if you write that again on the side. Now, for each one of these, let's go ahead and start by identifying our key pieces. So we have our is, we have our of, we have our percent. Okay, so for number 5, my question says, what is 30% of 90? My what is, I don't know what that is, so I'm going to put an X. 30%, I'm going to put a 30 down on the percent spot, and of 90, my 90 will go here. So, once again, I have is over of equals percent over 100. So I'm going to go x over 90 equals 30 over 100. We're going to cross multiply. I'm going to go x times 100 equals 30 times 90. I get 100x equals 2,700. We're going to divide by 100 on both sides, giving us x equals 27. So, x equals 27 is our answer. Now, I want you guys to pay very careful attention to number 7, number 10, number 11, and number 16. On those particular problems, they ask you what percent, which means that if you want to get the problem right, you're going to need to make sure that when you give me your final answer, you're going to put in that percent notation. All right? So if you have any questions at all, please leave me a comment, send me an email. I am here to help any way I can. Thank you so very much for watching. Good luck with the rest of the year. This has been Mrs. Ross Does Math.